I'm Rashmi Halker Singh. I'm the Deputy Editor of Headache. It is my absolute honor to be joined today by Dr. Bernice Grafstein, one of the 2025 American Headache Society recipients of the Distinguished Service Award. Welcome, Dr. Grafstein. Congratulations on this award.
Thank you. I'm really honored and delighted to be receiving the award.
So first of all, I just want to share for our viewers that this is extremely overdue from the American Headache Society. From our field of headache medicine, your PhD thesis in 1956, when you solo authored and published on the underlying mechanism of cortical spreading depolarization for the first time and provided a framework for subsequent research that then went on to confirm your hypothesis. This is truly fundamental to our understanding of migraine. And I'm really excited to speak with you about all of this. I do want to highlight that and give thanks to Dr. Safdieh, Milner, and Robbins for writing about your work and really bringing attention to all of this as well. So really welcome and thanks again for all of that.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction.
So anyway, I'm so excited to speak with you and I have so many questions. You have been a trailblazer in neuroscience and built a very strong career. Can you share with me, though, really what inspired you to enter neuroscience, especially during a time when so few women were entering not only neuroscience, but science in general?
Well, I think the fact that there were so few women made a difference to me. It made a difference to me because I felt I could do something different, something that I didn't have to follow along someone else's example, but I could do what I felt like doing. And that was, I think, instrumental in my deciding to go into science to begin with, and neuroscience in particular, because, of course, the brain is such a fascinating organ, and the idea of thinking and feeling and learning, all those things really so important and so difficult to understand.
Absolutely. You know, there's a saying that you can't be what you don't see, as a speaking to the importance of those that come before us and being good role models for those that come behind. And for you to say that you wanted to be something different and you want to enter an area where there was nobody, I think that really speaks to the fact that you truly were a trailblazer, especially during given the time.
Well,
What
it didn't feel like trailblazing. It just felt like doing what I felt like doing.
I love that. Thinking about those early stages of your work, was there a defining moment in your research that really stands out to you today? Either something about the science or something personal about the time?
Well, I haven't worked on spreading cortical depolarization since that very first paper. And I've had a very satisfying career. I think one of the things that really stands out for me, I'm very pleased about, is that when I was president of the Society for Neuroscience, which was in the late 80s, it seemed to me obvious that the very complicated program that the society held for its annual meetings, which attracted perhaps 1,500, 2,000 people, that the only way to really deal with this complicated field was by computerizing the program. The program was very complicated, and it seemed obvious to me that bringing in a computer, that each person could find his own way through this very complicated sort of festival would be very important. And indeed, it has turned out to be. Our society, I think, was the first ever to have a computerized program. And I think the society has been able to hold together and to grow quite massively and to keep things under control in a sense that each person can find his own field, his own niche in this complicated environment. I'm really quite proud that I was able to introduce that idea quite early.
Well, those ideas still remain timeless because that's still something that we talk about at our meetings about creating a personalized experience for every single attendee and how we can use AI to help us with that. So that was some very forward thinking. You shared that your journey has shifted away from cortical spreading depolarization to other areas of science. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I became very interested in development and growth of the brain and have followed that up. But most of my work and another area in which I think I've been able to make some contribution has been in the area of neuronal regeneration, neuronal growth and regeneration. And again, I went into that at a time when it was hard to find people who were interested in that at the time I began and has developed enormously and in very important ways.
That's so fascinating. You also touched upon your role as the first woman president for the Society for Neuroscience. Can you share a little bit more about that experience? As the first woman president, did you face any challenges and how did you navigate those?
Well, first of all, I was really astonished that I was chosen. I remember walking along a street in New York with my husband, and we ran into somebody that I knew who was an officer in the society, and he let slip that I had been that I was nominated to run for president of the society. I was astonished. I really hadn't expected anything like that. There was, of course, there was no precedent for a woman having been selected for that job, but it was really gratifying. I can still remember that moment on the Midtown street in New York. So that was quite a surprise. And I didn't want to come on all that strong as a woman in particular. I wanted I think my objective in all my career was just to be one of the folks. I could maybe say one of the boys, although I wasn't one of the boys. But I wasn't going to be a suffragette. I wasn't going to be revolutionary, but I felt that I had to make some mark. And so the one thing that I did do, and I don't know whether it was even noticed very much at the time, I decided that the presidential symposium would be presented. All the presenters were to be women.
Okay.
Again, I made no point of that. It just happened.
Yeah.
It was what was. And I was very pleased at the consequence. I didn't want to frighten the horses. So I think that that was my objective. I think throughout my career was my objective to just be there and make it an ordinary thing. Of course, I was there. Of
I
course,
like your approach.
it's not. I don't think it's an approach that would be particularly effective. Well, it worked then. I guess it would work. It would work now. We have to accept the fact now.
So you shared with me that you are still teaching, that you're excited about teaching medical students, second year medical students this fall. So I think you're very connected to the younger scientists and people entering medicine. First of all, I think that's fabulous that you're still so connected and engaged with with our, younger generation. And I would love to hear what advice you have for all of them who are entering a career in medicine or science.
Well, it's hard at the present time to persuade anybody to go into science, maybe even medicine has challenges that it didn't used to have. I think it's very unfortunate that there's been such an attack on science and on higher education in general. And I think it's important to remember one thing, that regardless of how individual scientists are recognized, and I appreciate the personal recognition that this award represents, but we are working in a community. We are working with one another, and the world may forget that because there's so much fuss about individual achievements, the Nobel Prize, other prizes, the award that I'm receiving. But it's not really the individual that in the end makes the difference. It's the community, and I'm most gratified. I'm most gratified that the work I did, and which is now being recognized, the work I did was able to be taken up by other people and was useful to other people in ways that developed and enlarged our understanding. And that, I think that for me is the most important aspect. Yes, I like the recognition. Thank you. And it's very gratifying, but yeah, that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is that we're moving forward in science, and unfortunately in a difficult time, but the rewards are great.
I think that's such a powerful message. And, your work, just going back to that one reference that you made, it was absolutely foundational because as we think about this, just migraine in general affects so many people in the world. It has been recognized as a leading cause of years lived with disability for a substantial proportion of the world's population. And being able to recognize the scientific underpinnings of what happens and being able to then come up with specific disease modifying treatments. It is life changing. My patients tell me about the life changing things that we can do to help them truly live better lives, and being able to help explain that science, it really is everything to so many people. And you're right, it takes a community, but that first step is the foundation.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the recognition.
Well, thank you so much for all the work you've done. You're an inspiration to so many people, and it's been my absolute pleasure speaking with you today.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for participating in this and for giving me the opportunity to speak up, even in this late stage of my career.